You are lying in a ditch outside Kandahar with a man you met 6 hours ago who is either going to save your life or sell you to the Taliban for the price of a used Toyota Hilux. You don't know which yet. Nobody does. That's the job. You didn't get here by filling out a form on a government website. You got here by spending a decade becoming the most lethal person in any room you entered, and then deciding that wasn't enough. You were Delta Force, or DevGru, or a Green Beret team sergeant with 6 combat rotations and a silver star you keep in a sock drawer because the citation is classified. You were the best of the best, and then a man in civilian clothes approached you at a bar near Fort Liberty and asked a question that changed everything. "How's your Pashto?" You told him it was decent. He slid a folder across the table. Inside was a single sheet of paper with no letterhead, no classification markings, no unit name. Just a description of a job that didn't exist in an organization that would deny you if you got caught. The pay was better, the missions were longer, the safety net was gone. If you died overseas, your family would be told it was a training accident. Your military record would show a transfer to a staff position in Kansas. Your body might not come home. You said yes. You said yes because you'd spent 10 years kicking in doors for people who couldn't find the doors without you, and you wanted to be the one who decided which doors needed kicking. You said yes because nothing in the conventional military came close to the clarity of this work. You said yes because the man in civilian clothes didn't need to convince you, he just needed to confirm what you already knew about yourself, that you weren't done, that you might never be done. Level 1, the candidate. You arrive at Camp Peary, Virginia. The farm. It doesn't look like much from the outside. Trees, fences, a few low buildings that could be any government facility in the Tidewater region. Inside the perimeter, the next 18 months of your life begin. You've already completed the hardest military training on the planet. Delta selection, the Q course, BUD/S. You thought those were difficult. They were. But they trained you to be a soldier. The farm trains you to be something else, a spy who can kill, a killer who can spy. The clandestine service trainee program breaks into 2 tracks, and you do both. The first is tradecraft. You learn surveillance detection routes, walking pre-planned paths through cities while identifying anyone following you. You learn dead drops, leaving packages in pre-arranged locations for agents to collect without either of you being seen in the same area. You learn brush passes, transferring a USB drive to another person in a crowded train station so smoothly that a camera reviewing the footage at half speed wouldn't catch it. You learn cover stories deep enough to withstand hours of hostile interrogation. You rehearse these identities until they feel more real than your own biography. The second track is what makes you different from every other case officer at the agency. Advanced paramilitary training at Harvey Point, a facility outside Hartford, North Carolina, that the CIA pretends doesn't exist. You train with weapons systems from 40 countries. You learn demolitions with foreign explosive compounds. You practice close quarters battle in kill houses that simulate the compounds you'll be hitting in countries where America officially has no presence. You run exercises where instructors playing hostile intelligence officers try to catch you conducting operations. If they catch you, you start over. If you fail too many times, you're out. The washout rate is 90%. Not because the candidates are weak. These are Delta operators and SEAL Team 6 veterans. They wash out because they can't transition from soldier to shadow. The guy who needs to be the alpha in every room. Gone. The guy who looks like an operator, walks like an operator, carries himself like someone who's killed people. Gone. They keep the gray men, the forgettable ones, the ones who can sit in a cafe for 2 hours and leave no impression on a single person in the room. Level 2, the ground branch operator. You graduate, no ceremony. A senior officer shakes your hand in a corridor. You are now a paramilitary operations officer assigned to ground branch, the land warfare element of the CIA's Special Activities Center, SAC. The Latin motto is Tertia Optio. Third option, because covert action exists for the moments when diplomacy has failed and the military can't officially be involved. Ground branch is the tip of the spear that doesn't officially exist. Your first deployment, is Afghanistan. You fly in on a CIA chartered aircraft that lands at an airstrip that doesn't appear on any aviation chart. You're met by a team leader who's been in country for 7 months and looks like he's been there for 7 years. He briefs you in a mud-walled compound with a satellite antenna on the roof and a generator that cuts out every 40 minutes. Your mission is to develop indigenous forces to conduct operations against Taliban leadership in provinces where the U.S. military can't operate. You grow a beard. You wear local clothing. You carry an AK-47 instead of an M4 because your weapon needs to look like it belongs to the country you're in. You eat what the locals eat. You sleep on a cot in a room with no door. You work with Afghan militia commanders who fought the Soviets in the 1980s and might be working for the Taliban this week. Loyalties are transactional. Money talks. You carry $200,000 in cash in a backpack. You hand it to men whose allegiance lasts exactly as long as the money does. Level 3, the team member. 2 years in. You've deployed 4 times. Afghanistan twice, Syria once, a country in East Africa you'll never name. You've conducted direct action raids alongside JSOC units who don't know you're CIA, and you don't correct them. You've called in drone strikes on compounds where high-value targets were sleeping. You watched through optics as Hellfire missiles turned structures into craters. Sometimes the intelligence was good and the right people died. Sometimes it wasn't and the wrong people died. You carry both outcomes equally because the mission doesn't distinguish between them. Your specialty within Ground Branch is human intelligence. You don't just kick in doors. You recruit sources. You sit in tea houses with tribal elders and village leaders and men who know where the targets are hiding. You build relationships over weeks and months, becoming the most attentive, generous, patient friend they've ever had. Then you extract information that gets turned into target packages that get handed to assault teams. You are simultaneously the spy and the soldier, the recruiter and the trigger puller. That combination is what makes SAC operatives different from every other special operations unit on Earth. You earn $95,000 a year plus hazard pay that brings it closer to $130,000. You haven't been home in 8 months. Your wife gets a phone call once a month through a secure relay. Your son hears your voice through static and asks when you're coming home. You say soon. You've said soon 11 times now. Level 4, the team leader. You run a team, 4 to 6 operators, all former Tier 1. Each one could lead this team. They follow you because you've earned their trust through shared operations in places that don't exist on any official record. You plan your own missions. You receive a brief from the station's operations center, infiltrate a compound in northern Syria, confirm identity of a high-value target, establish surveillance, report back. You choose the insertion method. You plan the route. You calculate the weight of rations, water, ammunition, batteries, communications equipment. You brief your team. On the ground, there is no chain of command hovering above you. Langley is a voice on a satellite radio 6,000 miles away. If the situation changes, if the target moves, if a patrol of armed men walks directly toward your position at 2 a.m, you make the call. Last month, your team was compromised during a reconnaissance operation. The enemy spotted your position from 400 meters. You had 4 men, 600 rounds, and 12 kilometers of hostile territory between you and the extraction point. You gave the order, break contact south, move fast. You ran through darkness for 3 hours. Your night vision batteries died an hour in. You navigated by stars. All 4 made it to the helicopter. No report was filed. No medal was awarded. It never happened. Level 5, the senior operator. 5 years in the agency. Yeah, you've deployed more times than you can accurately count. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Yemen, places in Central Asia and West Africa that the American public has never heard of in connection with CIA operations. You've conducted over 150 operations. You've lost colleagues, not statistics, brothers, men whose kids call you uncle, men whose wives call you when something breaks at the house because their husbands are deployed, and you're the only person who understands this life. The memorial wall at Langley has 140 stars carved into white Alabama marble. Each star represents a CIA officer who died in the line of service. Paramilitary operations officers account for the majority. Some of the names in the Book of Honor beneath the wall remain classified even in death. You know 3 of those stars by name. You trained with one, you deployed with another. You carried the third to a helicopter in a country you'll never discuss while rounds snapped past your head. That star is the heaviest thing you carry. Heavier than any rucksack, any kit, any weapon. You've been awarded the Intelligence Star, the CIA's second highest valor award. It sits in a box at Langley that you can't take home because the citation is classified and the operation it references doesn't officially exist. Your ex-wife has never seen it. Your son doesn't know it exists. Level 6, the program manager. You're running programs now, not just operations. You manage a covert action initiative authorized by the president under a classified finding. That means the President of the United States has personally signed a document directing the CIA to conduct an operation that will never be acknowledged. You are the person who makes it happen. You coordinate with JSOC task forces, foreign intelligence services, indigenous proxy forces. You manage budgets in the tens of millions drawn from black funds that don't appear in any congressional report. You recruit and handle human assets whose intelligence feeds directly into presidential daily briefs. Nobody outside your chain of command knows this. Nobody ever will. The political dimension is new. Washington wants results, but also wants deniability. The ambassador wants to avoid incidents. The host government wants to know why Americans keep appearing in places they shouldn't be. You balance all of it. You approve operations that could cause international crises if they go wrong. You kill operations that could produce valuable intelligence but carry too much risk. Every decision is a gamble between security and knowledge. Every success is classified. Every failure ends up in a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing where you testify in language that is technically accurate and strategically incomplete. Level 7. The Chief of Base. You run an entire CIA presence in a denied area, not a station inside an embassy. A base, a standalone facility in a country where the United States has no official intelligence footprint. Your base might be a rented compound in a provincial capital. It might be a warehouse in an industrial district. It might be 3 rooms above a shop in a market town. You have 8 officers and a network of local assets who provide information, logistics, and security. If any of you are caught, the United States will deny your existence. That is not a figure of speech. It is written into your operational authorization. You manage operations that blend paramilitary action with human intelligence collection. Your teams conduct reconnaissance on targets that assault forces will hit weeks later. Your case officers recruit sources inside hostile organizations. Your signals people intercept communications using equipment designed by the CIA's Directorate of Science and Technology. You eat local food. You speak the local language. You haven't seen an American flag in 9 months. You communicate with Langley through encrypted burst transmissions that send compressed data in fractions of a second. Your marriage ended during your 3rd year in this role. She couldn't handle a husband who disappeared for a year at a time and came back as someone she didn't fully recognize. The divorce was quiet. She got the house. You got a studio apartment you've slept in, maybe 20 nights total since the papers were signed. Level 8, the branch chief. You're back at Langley now. You run ground branch. Every SAC paramilitary operation worldwide flows through your authority. You manage several hundred operators, the most elite cadre in the United States intelligence community. Former Delta, former DevGru, former Green Berets, all retrained as clandestine intelligence officers. You sit in meetings with the director of the CIA. You brief the National Security Council. You coordinate with JSOC's commanding general, a 3-star who controls the military's Tier 1 assets. When the president asks what options exist that nobody can know about, he is asking you. You authorize operations in countries where America is not officially present. You sign cables that send men into situations where some of them may not come back. You've written condolence letters to families. The letters are lies, not about the character of the person, about the circumstances, classified circumstances, deaths that occurred during operations that don't exist in countries where these men were never officially present. The families receive a folded flag and an explanation that is technically true and emotionally insufficient. You attend the annual memorial ceremony at Langley, where every name on the wall, even the classified ones, is read aloud. You stand in the lobby and look at the 140 stars, and you know too many of them. You know the stories behind the stars that have no names in the Book of Honor. You carry those stories because someone has to, and because the alternative is that they're forgotten entirely, and that feels worse than the weight. Level 9, the Deputy Director. You are one of a handful of people who see the entire chessboard. You oversee the Special Activities Center, both the Special Operations Group and the Political Action Group, every covert paramilitary operation, and every political influence campaign conducted by the CIA worldwide falls under your authority. You attend the President's daily intelligence briefing. You sit in the Situation Room when crises erupt. You advise on operations so sensitive that fewer than a dozen people in the entire government know they exist. Programs with code names, classified above top secret. Capabilities the public doesn't know the CIA possesses. You make decisions that will never be written in any history book. Decisions that altered the trajectory of conflicts, toppled networks, prevented attacks that would have killed hundreds. Decisions that also produced consequences you didn't anticipate and couldn't control. The body ages faster than it should. Blood pressure medication. Insomnia that no physician can remedy because the cause isn't chemical. It's informational. Your mind holds too many secrets and processes them at 3 a.m. when your defenses relax and the memories surface uninvited. You've been married twice. The first ended because you were absent even when you were present. The second survives because she's a former agency officer who understands the silence. She makes coffee on nights when sleep won't come and sits beside you and never asks what you're thinking about. She knows the answer is classified. Level 10, the Ghost. You retire after 25 years. 10 in the military, 15 in the agency. The ceremony is in a conference room at Langley. 40 people attend. The director gives a speech about sacrifice, about the price of freedom, about the invisible burden of service that can never be acknowledged. Your colleagues applaud. Some are crying. You receive the Distinguished Intelligence Cross, the highest award the CIA can give. It will sit in a box at headquarters because you can't take it home. You can't display it. You can't tell anyone what you did to earn it. You sign non-disclosure agreements reminding you that everything you did, everything you saw, everything you know is classified for the rest of your life. You move to a house in Virginia, far from the city. You don't have many friends. The people you worked with are scattered or dead. The people you knew before the agency are strangers now. You can't explain where you've been for 25 years. You can't explain the scars. You can't explain why you walk the perimeter of your property at 3 a.m. checking for threats that aren't there. Your pension is generous. Your body is not. 2 rebuilt knees, a shoulder that dislocates if you move it wrong. Ringing in your ears that never stops. You feel 60 at 48. The doctors explain the cumulative damage. You don't need the explanation. You lived it. Some nights you dream about the stars on the wall. You see the faces behind the ones with no names. You hear the radio calls from operations that went wrong. You feel the weight of the men you carried and the weight of the men you couldn't. You think about the assets you recruited who were caught and executed. The sources who trusted you, whose names you gave to the targeters. You carry all of it. None of it officially happened. None of it will ever be acknowledged. Somewhere at Fort Liberty, a staff sergeant in the 75th Ranger Regiment is being approached by a man in civilian clothes. The man looks like an accountant. Soft hands, forgettable face. He asks the staff sergeant a question. "How's your Arabic?" The staff sergeant tells him it's decent. The man slides a folder across the table. Inside is a single sheet of paper. No letterhead, no classification markings, just text. The staff sergeant reads it. He looks up. He says yes. He doesn't know what he just signed up for. He doesn't know about the deployments to countries that don't appear on any map. The sources he'll recruit and sometimes lose. The stars on the wall that have no names beneath them. The marriages that won't survive the silence. The weight that accumulates inside you like geological layers until you can't remember who you were before any of this began. He just knows he wants something beyond the edge of what he's already seen. That's enough to start. It was never enough to.